Sirens carved the night into pieces. Mertens's team swarmed. Victor went down cursing, wrists cuffed, promises of lawyers dissolving in the wind. Emil crawled to Markus, hands slick with fear. "Dad, stay with me." Markus smiled like a man who'd finished a long shift. "We did something hard," he said. "Make it mean something." Grim vanished in the confusion, as if the storm had simply folded him back into itself. But the drives Lena had planted in Victor's trucks sang loudly enough for two villains: routes, bribes, signatures, a choir of guilt. Weeks blurred. Markus survived, scarred but stubborn. Charges came, a brutal bouquet, but cooperation trimmed the thorns. The state offered a deal: testify against the men who had owned their nights, and build a life owned by daylight. They moved above the bakery for real. The auto shop became a legitimate logistics company with small clients who paid on time and said please. Sofia recorded a piano piece called Pier 17 and uploaded it under a pseudonym. Emil enrolled in engineering and came home with clean hands and questions about cranes that only lifted legal loads. One evening, Lena watched rain silver the street and felt something close to peace. The doorbell rang. No one stood outside. Only a parcel, thin as a blade. Inside lay a single photograph, the family at the bakery window, smiling at nothing, unaware. On the back, a note in the neatest hand she'd ever seen. Order is a choice. Choose well. G. Lena closed the blinds and turned the deadbolt. Success had changed their lives. So had fear. Final beat / lingering question, somewhere, a structure was still floating. Would it drift back to Hamburg? Or had the Empire simply learned to breathe quieter? Wind whipped the harbor into knives. Pier 17 glowed under skeletal lights, cranes looming like witness trees. Mertens's team ghosted the perimeter, radios low. "We'll take Grim," she whispered. "You keep Victor talking." Two cars rolled to a stop nose to nose. Grim stepped out first. Victor swaggered second, holding Emil by the shoulder like a trophy. "Family reunion," Victor sang. "Boardroom," Grim corrected. "Let's transact." Lena stood between them with nothing but her breath and a recorder sewn into her coat. "Terms," she said. "On record." Victor's smile sharpened. "Release guaranteed upon delivery of routes, crews, and proof of Grim's complicity." He squeezed Emil. "Collateral." Grim's gaze never touched the boy. "Irrelevant variables distract from margins," he said. "Let them go, or I close the book." "Close it and you lose your best wheel," Victor snapped. "She built a machine out of a family." Lena felt the pier tilt. She was so tired of men naming her life. "I built it," she said, "so I can end it." She tossed a key fob into the space between them. Engines roared to life on the far side. Trucks Victor thought were his and Grim thought were clean. Their GPS screens lit with destinations that might as well have been courtrooms. Grim's eyes narrowed. Victor swore. Mertens spoke. "Now." Floodlights exploded. Commands in German turned the air to shards. Victor yanked Emil. Grim stepped back into shadow. Cliffhanger. A deafening crack. Someone fired. Markus stumbled, clutching his side, and fell. Lena didn't blink. "We proceed," she said to Grim, voice steady. He nodded, as if granting permission to breathe. They moved through the motions, paperwork, provenance, polite lies. Grim weighed silence like currency. When he finally spoke, it was to compliment the glue in a counterfeit frame. "The best crime is patience," he murmured. Lena guided him toward the line he needed to cross. "Partnership requires terms," she said. "Say them." Grim almost smiled. 50 to you, 50 to the river. You launder in freight, I launder in storms." He glanced at the ceiling camera. "Do you think your friends are watching?" "They always are," Lena said. His phone buzzed once. Something moved behind his eyes, as small and dangerous as a needle. "Change of venue," he said softly. "We conclude at the port." At the same time across town, Emil woke in darkness, the wire gone, wrists tied. Victor sat across from him, face unreadable. You think I didn't learn this game first? He said. Grim will kill you to hurt your mother. I will keep you to own her. Emil breathed shallow. You'll never be family, he said. Victor leaned forward. Blood is a contract. I am simply enforcing it. He dialed a number and put the phone on speaker. Lena, he said into the air, bring me your partnership with Grim. Or bring me your grief. Cliffhanger. On Lena's end, the line clicked, and Grim's voice joined Victor's. Let's settle this together, he said. Pier 17. 20 minutes. They evacuated in 9 minutes. Essentials only: passports, cash, Sofia's sketchbook, the black phone and a lead pouch Mertens had provided. The shop stayed lit, music playing on a loop to suggest life. In a safe apartment above a bakery that smelled like mornings, the family exhaled for the first time in weeks. We end this, Lena said. No more ladders. Mertens arrived with a plan as clean as glass: a recorded meeting with Grim, a mirrored meeting with Victor, a timed leak to the press, and an arrest that would make both men look down at the same moment. We'll pull the floor, she said. Grim doesn't step on floors, Lena replied. He floats. Then we clip his wings. The hook was a false manifest of counterfeit art bound for Zurich, expensive, headline-friendly, provable. Grim bit. So did Victor. Both scheduled inspections, at the same time in different places, each certain the other would blink. Markus kissed Lena's forehead before they split. Whatever happens, he said, we were better together than we were alone. Emil went with Victor's crew, wearing a wire that felt like ice. Sofia stayed with Mertens, monitoring feeds through a legal wall of screens. At 2100 hours, Lena walked into a silent gallery near Speicherstadt. The air smelled of varnish and old secrets. Grim stepped from the dark, immaculate as always. You brought paintings, he said. I brought a scale. Cliffhanger. In Lena's earpiece, Sofia's voice cracked. Mama, Victor changed location. Emil's signal just disappeared. News feeds lit up with images of burning containers, cranes frozen like prehistoric birds against orange skies. Sabota, the anchor said. A message, Mertens texted. From Grim or to him. Supply lines snarled. Drivers refused runs without triple pay. Grim went silent for 48 hours, which was louder than shouting. Victor filled the vacuum. Chaos is a ladder, he said cheerfully, and sent twice the volume. Lena felt the ladder sway. She split routes, rerouted drivers, invented inspections that didn't exist. Markus supervised sleep like an engineer. Emil shadowed Victor's lieutenants, and learned to read faces by the way they hid their hands. Sofia, supposed to be doing homework, tailed Anna again. She watched the music teacher slip into an underground car park and meet a man in a coat too nice for the weather. Phones changed hands. Money did not. Something colder than money did. That night Victor staged a celebration at the second warehouse. Music low, champagne unopened. We are past the river now, he told Lena. One last gesture, and Grim is smoke. What gesture? A friendly audit, he said, eyes glinting. On your BK friends. Lena laughed, but he wasn't joking. You brought us a war, she said. I brought you an exit, he replied. You step through or drown. Cliffhanger. Upstairs, a door slammed. Emil shouted. Lena ran to find him holding a small device he had just pried from the underside of a desk. A tracker broadcasting coordinates not of the warehouse, but of their home. They pulled into a shadowed side bay as instructed. Mertens emerged from an unmarked car, hair plastered by rain, eyes like blades. You turned at Santorkai, she said. You chose him. I chose my son, Lena snapped. Then choose him again, Mertens replied. By finishing what we started. She handed Lena a small recorder. Victor will ask you to swear. Make him say the terms. Markus bristled. And Grim? Grim watches patterns. Break one, Mertens said. We'll make noise where he expects silence. Back home, exhaustion clung to them like smoke. Emil stared at the ceiling. Are we the villains? He whispered. Sofia lay on her stomach, sketching routes as if they were poems. Villains don't ask, she said. They just take. The next evening, Victor arranged a family dinner at a private room overlooking the Elbe. He spoke to Lena like a partner, and to Emil like an heir. You're wasted under Grimm, he said. Be founders. I'll supply skeletons, you give them muscle. On record, Lena said lightly, tapping the hidden recorder in her sleeve. What are the terms? Victor smiled at the window. 50% now, 50 when Grimm is blind. Then we wash everything through legitimate freight. You become untouchable. A waiter slipped a note beside the bread basket. Grimm sees you. The room's lights dipped for a heartbeat. When they returned, Victor's smile hadn't moved, but his eyes had. Cliffhanger. From the river below, a flare arced upward and burst, red showering sparks, followed by the unmistakable thump of explosions toward the port. Rain stitched the streets into mirrors. Lena drove the lead van. Markus tailed. Emil rode shotgun with her, eyes on the clock. 1:27, 1:28. Turn right, and we play someone else's game, Markus said over the radio. Don't turn, and we lose our son, Lena answered, throat tight. At 1:30 the indicator clicked. She turned. The convoy followed like obedient moons. At once, traffic lights fell into a green wave, impossibly timed, suspiciously smooth. They arrived at a private garage. Doors rolled up by themselves. Inside, guards with clean haircuts, smiles that didn't touch their eyes. Victor stepped out from behind a column, applauding. Precision, he said. Your reputation is earned. Where is my son's guarantee? Lena asked. Next to you, Victor said, nodding to Emil. For now. He led them past mirrored walls to a polished loading bay. Diversion for Grimm. The cargo swaps here, the trackers keep moving there. Everyone believes what their screens say. Lena refused to look inside the crates. She already knew too much. And afterward? She asked. Afterward, Victor said. You choose a flag. They completed the swap in 12 breathless minutes. As the doors closed, Victor leaned in. Grimm thinks like law, it punishes. I think like blood, we reward. He kissed the air by Lena's cheek. Choose family. They rolled out. Traffic lights turned red in a wave behind them, like a mouth closing. Cliffhanger. At the first intersection, blue lights exploded in the mirrors. Unmarked cars, sirens off, fast and surgical. A voice on Lena's radio. Pull over. BK. Victor didn't call Emil by name. He didn't need to. The flash was enough. I see you. By morning, a bouquet arrived at the shop with no card, only an address, Victor's luxury apartment in Hafen City. Lena went alone. Victor opened the door with a hug that smelled of cologne and danger. You always wanted control, he purred. Grimm rents you fear. I sell you freedom. What's your price? Your routes. Your people. Your trust. She laughed once, dry. So everything. He poured coffee. Grimm is not a man. He is a structure. You cannot kill a structure. But you can step out of it. He slid a folder across the table. Export licenses, shell companies, fake audits, polished lies. With me, you climb above the sea. Lena left with the folder and a sickness that felt like altitude. At home, Markus said. He's luring us into a war with a ghost. Mertens was blunt. Victor runs a rival network backed by angry men with old money. If you switch sides, Grimm burns you to ash. If you don't, Victor starves you quietly. That night, Grimm called. I smell indecision, he said. It offends. We had an uninvited visitor. Lena replied. He waved papers. Papers are theater, Grimm said. Loyalty is arithmetic. Your next assignment will prove you can count. A new route hit Lena's phone, heavier volume, tighter window, more eyes. It cut through Victor's neighborhood like a dare. Cliffhanger. As Lena studied the map, a second message arrived from an unknown sender. Turn right at Santorkai at 1:30. Or your son does not come home. They argued in whispers that shook the walls. We pull out, Markus said. Tonight. And then what? Lena asked. Run from a man whose signs are fears in red ink? Emil slammed his palm on the table. There's a leak. Either BK or us. His eyes moved, reluctantly, to family. Who had Sofia's notebook? Sofia bristled. Only me. And, she hesitated. I showed Anna a page. For advice on patterns. Silence fell like snow. Lena visited Mertens with fists clenched. The inspector didn't flinch. Grimm has eyes everywhere. If he copied your daughter's notes, it means he needed to show you something. Show me what? That you're leashed. He tugs, you heel. The next operation came with a twist. Grimm wanted an overnight relay through a second warehouse. For calibration. Han called it a stress test. To Lena, it smelled like a trap. Emil volunteered to shadow the convo, Sofia to monitor cameras. Markus prepared a false manifest with errors Grimm would notice, hoping to expose where the corrections came from. At 2:12 a.m., the convoy diverted unexpectedly. Emil followed in a rusted van at a distance, heart in his mouth. The truck stopped in an empty lot overlooking the Elbe. From the shadows stepped a man Emil knew too well, his Uncle Victor, estranged for years, now smiling like a knife. Family, Victor said to the drivers. Welcome to the winning side. Cliffhanger. Victor looked straight at Emil's van in the darkness and raised a phone. Flash. Power returned with a sigh, like the building had forgiven them. Han texted a single sentence. Your enemies are careless. Then nothing. Mertens equipped Lena with a button camera disguised as a necklace and a script that sounded like sanity. Keep business normal. Introduce small delays, collect Grimm's instructions verbatim. We catch him by his patterns, the inspector said. Not by miracles. Grimm's patterns were clean. He delegated without writing, appeared without warning, and spoke only when silence would not suffice. Emil accompanied Lena to the port for a legitimate pickup, spare parts and cleaning solvents, while a separate line of trucks whisked away unmarked pallets. Watching the ballet, Emil whispered, The port is a machine. We're just a wheel. At home, Markus grew more careful. He changed locks, rotated shifts, installed a second layer of alarms. He stopped believing in sleep. Sofia shadowed Anna's studio, pretending to need piano lessons, mapping comings and goings with the chess player's patience. One night, Lena met Grimm on a pedestrian bridge over black water. He spoke first. You have been useful. Next month, the volume doubles. That risks noise, Lena said. Our neighbors are musical. Grimm's eyes flicked toward a lighted window, the studio. Noise is a choice. I trust you will choose profit. He turned to leave, then paused. Tell your son he should stop watching the cranes. The cranes notice. Lena's blood went cold. Cliffhanger. On the windshield of their car, a single page torn from Sofia's secret notebook, photocopied, annotated in red ink, and signed with one word, Grimm. BK, Federal Criminal Police. Lena read the text until the words lost shape. She arrived at a riverside cafe where gulls screamed and tourists took pictures of bridges. A woman in a plain coat sat alone, stirring a coffee that had gone cold. Anna? Lena said before she could stop herself. The neighbor smiled without smiling. I prefer Inspector Mertens. But Anna is faster when we need sugar. Lena sat. Every muscle begged her to run. We don't care about your small nights, Mertens said. We care about the ocean that feeds them. Give us Grimm. You've already wired my walls, Lena said. You heard him. We heard silence, Mertens replied. Grimm doesn't speak unless he wants a record. She placed a card on the table. Witness protection exists. For you, your family. Or you can wait until someone else offers you protection with a gun. Lena looked at the phone. At the river. At the gulls. If I say yes, how long before Grim knows? Minutes, Mertens said. But we'll be closer than he is. Back at the shop, Lena told Markus everything. He paced, hands in his hair. We cannot fight both the sea and the state, he said. We pick one. Emil listened from the doorway, face unreadable. If we betray Grim, we must never miss a step, he said. If we don't, we become him. That night, Lena sent a single message to the card Mertens had left. I will help. Cliffhanger. 30 seconds later, the warehouse lights died. A red laser dot drifted across the office wall and stopped on the black phone labeled Grim. They tore the place apart quietly, finding 2 more bugs, one under the counter, one on the forklift battery. Police? Emil whispered. Or competitors? Both feel the same when they're listening, Markus said. They left the bugs where they were and built a decoy shift, empty crates, routine chatter, innocuous routes on whiteboards. Meanwhile, Lena moved the real schedule to paper in Sofia's careful cursive and burned it after reading. At 2:58 a.m., 3 cars arrived. Hans stepped out with 2 silent men. The third door opened last, like a stage reveal. A tall figure in a charcoal coat, gray scarf, and no expression. Grim. He walked the aisles without touching anything, eyes counting, mind measuring. Order, he said finally. And courage. He glanced at the office where Anna's cake box had Saturday. Courage looks different when people are watching. Lena met his gaze. We prefer invisibility. Then be invisible to me as well, Grim said, almost amused. Grow quietly. Move heavier, faster. One condition, you will not touch weapons. Hamburg hates headlines. Relief flickered, until he turned to Emil. You're the future. Futures require education. He slid a card to the boy. When you're ready for the port. After they left, Sofia whispered. He looked at the wrong cameras. On purpose. How do you know? Lena asked. Because he wanted us to notice. At dawn, Anna waved from her studio with the same polite smile. Lena waved back and tried not to see the shadow behind the curtain move. Cliffhanger. A text from an unknown number buzzed Lena's phone, BK. Meet today. 1700 hours, alone. Or we come to you. They advanced the schedule. The money doubled then tripled. Han brought a ledger with no names, only symbols and dates. You run the ground, he said. Grim oversees the sea. Grim who? Emil asked. Hans looked said don't. By month's end, the auto shop looked like a front pretending not to be a front. Lena mandated uniforms, clipboards, and codes on the doors. If we are seen, we must look boring, she told the family. Boring became a costume they wore with precision. Success dried their fear until it felt like paper, thin, flammable. Markus took Lena to dinner and toasted to breathing again. He was softer, hopeful. She let herself laugh, once. Then neighbor Anna, who taught music next door, stopped by with plum cake and a casual question. New deliveries so late? The street's noisier. Her smile never reached her eyes. Sofia watched from the stairs, clocking the way Anna's gaze drifted to the warehouse cameras. That night, the black phone rang. A calm voice. Lena Fisher? Yes. I am Grim. She stood very still. You have raw talent, Grim said. You built order from smoke. I reward order. A pause long enough to be a threat. But one thing is chaos, you label nothing. Without labels, I cannot audit. Without audits, I cannot guarantee protection. We don't want protection, Lena said. Grim's laugh was soft and cold. In our world, everyone is protected by someone. If not me, then someone worse. The call ended. A minute later, Han texted, audit tomorrow. 3 a.m. pass, and you grow. Fail, and you fall. Cliffhanger. As Lena turned off the lights, she found Anna's plum cake box forgotten on the counter. with a tiny listening device taped inside. They told Emil and Sofia it was storage. Emil didn't ask, he wanted to. Sofia did ask. They told her not to worry. That night, the trucks returned, different plates, same silence. Hans supervised without stepping in, hands folded, eyes measuring everything. Routine, he said to Lena. And safe, if everyone respects the rules. What rules? She asked. You never see what you don't see. The money was obscene. Markus counted it twice and tried not to smile. 1 more week, he promised Lena. We stabilize, then we stop. But stopping felt like trying to slow a ship with bare hands. Word traveled fast in currents you never see. Suddenly the shop had new clients, friends of Han, paying in cash for storage, transport. Consulting. Lena handled scheduling. Markus handled doors and alarms. Emil learned forklifts as if they were extensions of his wrists. Even Sofia, sharp as a needle, noticed patterns. The shipments spiked on port inspection days, like waves slipping between rocks. She said nothing but started keeping a secret notebook. On Friday, a crate broke. Inside, not car parts, sealed blister packs with foreign pharmacy stamps. Lena's breath hitched. Close it, Markus said, voice flat as winter. They taped the wood like nothing had happened. That evening, Hans smiled. Efficiency improves with trust. He set down a black phone. For urgent calls. You'll answer. He looked at Lena. You especially. Later, alone, Lena powered the phone and found only one contact. Grim. No first name. No last. Just the sort of name that ended stories. Cliffhanger. The phone vibrated once and stopped. A message appeared. Inspection moved to Sunday. Advance the schedule. Confirm. Hamburg's rain never stopped, and neither did Lena's worries. Markus's auto shop had 3 unpaid invoices. The landlord wanted a raise in rent, and their son Emil had set aside his university plans to help with repairs. Sofia, 15, stacked spark plugs after school and pretended not to notice the late-night arguments. On a Tuesday that smelled of oil and thunder, a stranger stepped inside, a soft-spoken man in a dark wool coat who introduced himself as Mr. Han. He complimented Markus's work, then glanced at the locked rolling door that led to the back warehouse. You have space, he said. And discretion? Lena felt the room tilt. Han slid a card across the counter. 1 night. Boxes in, boxes out. No questions, generous fee. Markus laughed it off in front of the kids, but after midnight he stared at the empty warehouse like it was a loaded dice. It's rent for a year, he whispered. Lena thought of bounced payments, of Emil's quiet disappointment, of Sofia's winter coat 2 sizes too small. 1 night, she said, and hated how easy the words sounded. The trucks came in darkness, engines low, drivers wordless. The boxes were anonymous, no logos, no invoices, stacked like secrets. Emil noticed the labels were in Cyrillic underneath black tape. Lena pretended she didn't. By dawn, the warehouse was clean again. An envelope waited by the office door, thick, heavy, shamefully warm in her pocket. They slept for an hour. Then the news broke. Customs had seized a container at the port. Stolen pharmaceuticals worth millions had gone missing, in transit. Lena's hands shook as she looked at the cleared floor. Had there, one night, just become a debt to people you never refuse? Cliffhanger. A second envelope slid under the door, this one with a single message. Tonight, again.